I just pulled my drip lines in, so we're gonna set up the drip irrigation in here, and then we're gonna set up these sprinklers down the middle for overhead irrigation in this high tunnel. This is the new Farmer's Friend Caterpillar Tunnel Max that we just built. All right, so first things first, I always wanna make sure I'm doing everything as efficient as possible, right? So I put everything that I need to do the task in my buggy. I bring it all out here at once. That way I'm not walking back and forth, looking for stuff, right? I get it all together, put it all in my buggy, bring it all out here at once. So I got everything I need to do the tasks, including all my YouTube stuff. I just got done planting a bed of arugula right here, and yesterday we planted 2 beds of lettuce right here. Jang seeder set up for arugula. I got the X24 roller with a 1-inch spacing, so I got a 9 in the back and a 14 gear in the front. We'll do 7 rows on this bed. Okay, so one of the biggest questions I get from people is like, can I do an irrigation video? And it's like, yes. My irrigation setup on like the whole farm, right? Like I've got 2 farms, and this one's like super complex. It's like Wi-Fi controlled with rainwater catchment over there. I got overhead sprinklers separated in every single high tunnel, and then drip lines in every single high tunnel, sprinklers in the field, and drip irrigation in the field, all set up on Wi-Fi controlled irrigation, and then just one small part of the garden is hooked up to the rainwater catchment system. So we just had water lines like installed into the garden. So I used to run all this stuff like through hoses from under the house. Now I actually have water lines in the garden. All of the irrigation on the whole farm's been disconnected all winter, you know. I figured it's easier to just break it into sections. So rather than show you the whole irrigation system at once, we're just gonna set up this high tunnel today. So we're gonna do the drip irrigation, and we're gonna set up some sprinklers. They're the easiest sprinklers that you can set up, and you can set these up in the field or in a high tunnel. It doesn't matter. The reason I'm doing that in here is because I've got like 4 Farmer's Friend Caterpillar tunnels, and I love their overhead irrigation. I just buy it from Farmer's Friend. Comes in a kit, and it leaves like a perfect sprinkle of water, nice even mist over it, and saturates the whole soil pretty well. But this tunnel is 21 feet wide, and those are only 16 feet wide. So I called Farmer's Friend, asked them if they had a kit for this greenhouse, an irrigation kit for this greenhouse, and they said no. And I asked them if those would work, and they said no, they only have a 16-foot radius, and this tunnel's 21 feet wide. So I just really fell in love with these last year. I love the distribution of water and everything, so we're gonna try them out in here and just see how they go. So it's my new favorite irrigation system, and basically it's just like this. I buy this as one piece, and then this is just like a metal rod, and it goes like this, and it just sits on there, and this just gets like poked into mainline tubing, and that's it. And then like it's not fixed or anything. You can just move this, adjust it however you want. So these are 50 feet long beds, and I'm gonna put 2 of them in here, just see how that does. I get really nice distribution. This is what I've been using over at the lease property all last year, so I think it's gonna be great. So I'm pretty excited. Let's do it. So these beds were already established, and we just built the high tunnel over the top of the beds that were already here. There was already irrigation here, but it's like been under construction, right? So it's kind of like buried under these wood chips and composts, and so it's all clogged with dirt right now, and it's not connected to anything because it's been winter and I haven't had it connected. So basically I got to pull up these lines and then hook it up to the water over here and clear out all the dirt, and then I already dragged these drip lines in place, and then we'll just set those up. But first I gotta clean the dirt out of the lines. Okay, so these 4 beds are all set up. They've already got like the drip irrigation connections, but then it like stopped right here because before we built the high tunnel, this actually wasn't a bed, so I kind of forgot that. So I'm just gonna put a coupling on here, put drip connections right here for this bed. We'll hook those up, and then we'll go right out the other side, and our water connections like right there next to the high tunnel, you know what I mean? So we'll just come out here, and then we'll hook everything up right there. Okay, so I brought my main line kind of out here from the greenhouse, and then this is my water connection. And so, you know, I just got like this crate, and it's got all kinds of connections in it, some sprinklers, tees, elbows. These are like drip line couplings for if the drip lines get a hole. These are like plugs for the ends of drip lines. Any connection you could want, you know. I got several timers, and so I'm just gonna hook up I guess, sweet. I got a Y, so I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna stick this on here so I can hook the timer up to this high tunnel, and it'll have its own dedicated timer. And then I can also hook like a different one up to these when I need to hook that up, because that's gonna come next. So this is just like a 2-channel timer from Orbitz. They're super cheap, they're not that good, but this is what I got on hand, so I'm just gonna use it. I'll probably invest in like something better soon. It's getting crazy. I mean, like, I was running all this off like a typical house faucet, you know? Like, now I've got the water lines, so that's good. And then like these are all pressure reducers, because you can't just like have full water pressure going into the drip lines. It'll like blow the connections apart, you know? So I've got pressure reducers. Looks like I got a lot of 20 psi. And the reason I have those is because I was doing it all from like under the house, so it was like so far away with so many elbows and everything to get out here. It already lost a lot of water pressure, so by the time it got out here it was probably more like 15, you know? So we'll see. I got 20. That's what I'm going to use today. Hopefully it works good. It should, because it has to kind of go uphill first, so it'll lose a little bit of pressure like that. So so I need the pressure reducer for the drip lines, but I don't need it for the overhead irrigation. And if the overhead irrigation is like too crazy, it's just spraying water everywhere in there, then maybe we could get a pressure reducer on it. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Okay, and next I need the connections that hook up to the drip lines. So these like are the hose, they hook up to the hose spigot, and then a connection so that this goes into the mainline tubing. And I'm using all 3/4 inch mainline tubing, and they call these permalock connections. So if you want to shop for them on Drip Depot, I'd buy all this stuff at dripdepot.com. So I'll leave a link below, and all this stuff is called 3/4 inch permalock fittings. And I just use this to cut the lines. I don't use any special tool or nothing, just a serrated knife. And then like I just use like, these are landscape pin, staples. I use these to pin down the tubing and everything to hold them in place. And so I always keep the blowtorch on hand too, so that I can I heat up the tubing, and then that helps it expand, you know? The heat expands it so it slips on better, because this stuff, it's like, it's February, you know, it's kind of warm today, but this stuff's a lot easier to work with when the temperature is warmer, you know? So I keep the blowtorch on hand, and that just helps me get these connections on a little bit better. It can be super hard, right? Like, you see how smooth that kind of goes on? It's not that easy if you don't have a blowtorch. And it's not a blowtorch, it's whatever, butane torch. This is just like my mainline tubing that's coming from the water line, and then I just poke holes in it. So I forget what they call this tool, but when I got started doing this, I knew nothing about irrigation, and I just started with like a kit from Drip Depot. So they sell kits that come with all these parts to get you started, everything you need, just hook it up with a hose spigot on your house. So that's how I learned all this. So, and I knew nothing, I just started with one of those kits. Now I know, you know, I can design a whole irrigation system by myself now, but that's how I learned, right? So I highly recommend just buying one of the kits. Is a great way to get started, and they come with the tool. But anyways, there's a few sizes, so you gotta make sure you get the right one. What I'm working with here for drip line is 15 millimeter, so it lasts a pretty long time. I rarely throw it out. There's some like thinner ones are not that durable and they don't last that long. They're more like disposable. And then these have 6-inch emitters, so there's a hole every 6 inches down it, and they are 0.25 gallon per hour emitter. So every single emitter will put out 1/4 gallon of water every hour you run it. So I just set the timer for 1 minute. We'll run the dirt out of those lines, and then we'll hook up the drip lines. then next you can see I just like run the water out the lines to run all the dirt out so that the holes don't get clogged in the drip line. So I just run it for a minute, and then they all have like different connections. I just screw the connections. This one like folds in half and plugs on the end. I got a bunch of different ones. There's tons of ways you can plug the ends. So once the water's done running out, then I just plug them up and be good to go. All right, y'all, so it's getting kind of late. I gotta get going. And so I'm gonna show you how quickly we can set up these sprinklers. They're like the easiest irrigation system you can set up. So this tunnel's got 5 beds in it, which makes it awkward because I can't just like put the irrigation line down the middle of the bed. So I'm gonna put like mainline tubing down the walkway, and then I'm just gonna take this and stick it right in the middle of the bed. So I'm just gonna run the mainline tubing from the timer over there, elbow it here, put it right down this bed, and then poke holes with 2 of these. Okay, so I'm just gonna like pull the tube down the rest of this bed, and I'm kind of like hugging the bed so the tube's not in the middle of the walkway so that we don't have to walk on it. And then I've got these, I'm gonna put one of these on the end, and it's just got this cap that screws off so I can flush out the dirt. So I'll flush out the dirt first before I hook the sprinklers up to make sure they don't get clogged, and then we'll be set, dude. This took me like 10 minutes. So now I'm gonna hook up the sprinklers, and they just use like the same tool that the drip irrigation uses. So I just poke a hole with this right in the mainline tubing, same as the drip irrigation, and then I just plug the tube from the sprinkler right in. They're made by Netafim. I mean, these things cost like $7 or something like that, you know? And then the stand probably costs like another $7, but it's just a piece of wire. I mean, you could also just buy something at the hardware store too. It's probably just as sufficient. So in my opinion, it's the cheapest and fastest to set up, easiest irrigation setup. So I'm gonna space these at 15 feet. I know where that is because I'm in a high tunnel, so it's 5, 10, 15. So I'm gonna put this one here, and then I'm gonna measure the same over there. I'm gonna put it at the 4th hoop in, and that should give me even spacing. So what do you think? I mean, I think it's pretty good coverage. I'll keep you guys posted. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty good. It might need some adjustments or something here and there, but you know, it's just parts I had on hand, so I didn't have to buy anything. That's the important thing, right? Just using what I already have, making it happen. So I think that's gonna work for a while. I will definitely keep you guys posted, and that's about all the time I got for today, guys. I really appreciate you guys being here. Sorry it's kind of a boring video today. I'm just really tired. I did like a million burpees, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, all the things at the gym yesterday. I had a pretty intense workout, so I'm just kind of beat today. But I appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks, guys.